What more could you want?
That's it. I'm relying. I'm putting a lot of pressure on you. But this, this little chat needs to take off.
Do you know what? It will. I just know it will. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this amazing West End Best Friend interview. Today, we are with Oliver Tompsett, who is currently rehearsing and will be in the show In Dreams at the Leeds Playhouse. But Oliver, please tell us who you are.
I'm currently playing Ramsey in the production of In Dreams, a new musical that revolves around the back catalogue of Roy Orbison and his music from bands such as the Travelling Wilburys, but it's also written by the brilliant David West Reid, who some of you may know wrote And Juliet. So I'm very familiar with his writing and his humour, and I'm having the best time.
Amazing. Well, that's brilliant. And it's great that you're having a great time. We're really looking forward to it. So could you explain to all of our viewers and all of us, basically, what is In Dreams in a nutshell? What's it about? Everything.
Okay, it's set in New Mexico, and the story revolves around a former lead singer of a band, a sort of country rock band, that we meet her at the beginning of the show at a very critical moment in her life where she gets a phone call from her doctor with some very sad news, and then we then move into where the rest of the musical is set, which is in this sort of somewhere between an American bar and a Mexican restaurant in New Mexico, somewhere before we get to not completely Mexican culture, but a sort of a taste of it. But the family who run it are very Mexican people who very much have all those sort of traditions. The easiest way to sort of describe it is if you've seen Coco, because that's probably the most commercial sort of side of how we talk about the Day of the Dead. And we even give a nod to that in the show. It's very funny. But it's about her throwing a party of a lifetime and trying to reunite her friends from the band. It's a chance for us to explore the reconnection and love and loss and how people mature and move on through the sort of comedic writing of David West Reid. And there are other characters in the show that help us sort of show that it's never too late for love, and it's never too late to move on in a respectful way without forgetting and without ignoring the grieving that people go through when people are no longer with us. And in rehearsals, I listen to the writing, and it moves me and then makes me laugh the following line. And it's just the perfect marriage for a musical, I think.
What's that process like? Being in a room with him, working with his writing, and also tying it into your own thing, sort of, what does that room feel like?
From knowing what we did with And Juliet, which was we went through rehearsals, and because it's humour and very fun, a lot of funny jokes and stuff involved in it, you got to the point in rehearsals where there's no one's laughing anymore because we've all heard the jokes 100 times.
Right.
When we got in front of the first preview audience, we were like, oh my goodness, this wave of adoration from the audience and laughter, and just it was so rewarding. So I have confidence that that's going to be the same with this. It's different. It's not the same show as And Juliet at all. It's situational comedy rather than gag comedy. It's not going to be like lots of massive laughs. It's going to be a constant flow of sort of humor and entertainment. So the marriage of the Roy Orbison and the slightly maturer humor, I think, works really well. And what I feel this show does, and what David's writing does, is it does so brilliantly, without it becoming like some preachy, depressing piece of TED talk. It finds a way of just giving you little bits of nuggets of information of ways to approach life and to ways to approach grief and love and rekindling love and how we deal with breakups and stuff like that. And there's just so much comfort in the text that we have to have David's humour there for us to sort of as a vehicle, so that people don't run off scared from the information they're being given. Because everyone, I feel like the audience will feel as vulnerable as we do on stage towards the end of the piece, because his writing is so good, and because we entertain. It's music, and there is a lot of funny stuff going on, and then when we go to the really heartfelt stuff, you're going to feel so vulnerable that I think you should leave feeling very uplifted and very moved, and it's quite cathartic. It's going to be like a big therapy session for everyone.
I mean, and what's that like as also as a performer? Because I mean, these shows are, you know, incredible and heavy, right? And you know, you're going to do it a fair few times over. What's that process like for you? Is it, I mean, literally and more philosophically, is it like, do you just have to come off and have a cup of tea and like?
I mean, this is definitely, for me, it's much heavier than anything I've done before. Even though it starts off with that silly fun and that humour and some great songs to sing. Just reading the text takes me to a very personal, vulnerable place, and that is a joy as an actor, because I remember seeing an interview just the other day actually with Andrew, what's his name, Garfield, when he was talking about his performance in Tick Tick Boom, which still to this day is my favourite performance in a musical medium I've ever seen, and how he felt honoured singing the songs that he had to sing in that, and it was a way of him honouring his mum who passed away, and how he said every time he did it, it felt like he sewed up a little wound, and said like that the grief never leaves you, but it helps for that moment in time. It just sews it up a little bit, and that's how it feels for me. It's a joy. It's very cathartic to sort of do that. But ask me again in 5 weeks' time when I've been doing eight shows a week. I might be so completely emotionally drained. I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah.
Just finished. So I mean, this is quite a short question. What made you say yes?
Funnily enough, it was actually when I started Performance of Pretty Woman, I got a phone call on my first performance saying, "You're going to get an offer for our new musical in Dreams." I was like, "What? I don't know anything about this show." Like, I've never been. I mean, I was very, I've never. Like, people think, oh, they don't have to audition, they don't do this. I've auditioned for everything I've ever done. You know, I've never been at that point in my career, and I still don't think I am at that point in my career. It just happens to be that the creative team had worked with me so closely that they were like, "The job's yours." So I didn't have to audition. So going in, I was very insecure about starting, but it was a phone call, and then I read the script and thought, this is too good not to be part of. But it did also mean that I got the 4 weeks off over the summer holidays, which is to any parent, a luxury. So I've got those 4 weeks to sort of spend with my family and to make up for the time that I'm away at the Mo. But the book, the work, the actual piece was too good not to be part of. And I will have grown. By the time we finished in Toronto, I will have grown so much as an actor, I know, because I've grown in every other role I've ever done. And this is probably the biggest curve I've had to go through on stage.
Wow. So this is going to be like a good one. This is like, I mean that must feel amazing, and it must feel like, when you're having these amazing changes within yourself, within roles, especially when it is so personal, that moment for yourself where you're like, it must feel incredible, right?
It's brilliant. I mean, our lead, Lena Hall, playing the role of Kenna in the show, is iconic and a huge role, and I think it's going to be the kind of role that every female lead in the world is going to want to play. So it's an honor for me to sort of be a sidekick, the sort of the love interest, but more than that, it's he sort of plays a friend and a sort of a boxing bag as well. He takes it all on. So it's and our pairing, I think, so far in rehearsals has been really exciting.
I can't wait to come watch it. It's going to be fab.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things as well that until we get it in front of an audience, we will never know what its commercial success will be. Yeah. But as far as sort of rewarding as being storytellers and telling the story, it feels hugely successful for us. So hopefully people who have a love of theatre are going to come along and love it. And the trick is with these big musicals is to make sure that theatre people love it, and that on a commercial scale it's that Joe Public love it as well. If we don't have that love for it, then it wouldn't have a hope in hell anyway. So it has to have that foundation first of all, and then after that there's so many elements, marketing, whether it looks pretty, whether you get the TV, you get the film,
poster,
you get the right promotion, whether you get to have an interview on West End Best Friend.
Well, I mean, what more could you want?
That's it. I'm relying. I'm putting a lot of pressure on you, but this, Yeah, this little chat needs to take off.
Do you know what? It will. I just know it will. I've decided it's going to happen. And I just want to. I've got one question briefly that I just want to touch on about yourself. You know, you've done some amazing shows, like some cool shows, right? Like
cool as, yeah.
And we have loads of people who watch who are massive theatre fans, you know, or want to get into performing, you know, sort of are at the stage where they, you know, still got the hairbrush in their hand in the bedroom, you know what I mean, belting out all sorts of songs, you know. And what would you say, right, to them? You this is it. You get one bit of advice. What are you saying?
Be a sponge. Just soak it all up. Take every opportunity you can. It really is about you have to get past yourself before you can really be at your best. And the only way to do that is to get up on stage and do karaoke. If there's a performance opportunity, take it. Whether you'll make mistakes, watch everyone else around you and learn from them. Whether it's people making the right decisions or the wrong decisions in your eyes, look at it and be a sponge. It's just about learning. It takes years for you to get really, really good at something. A lot of people in performing arts, it can be very competitive. And what comes with that is sometimes people focus more on seeing someone do something great and then feeling bad that they can't do it. Whereas just be a sponge and think, how can I do that? And then try. You just have to keep on trying, because without the practice, you're never going to feel truly relaxed in front of people. I didn't like performing, sadly. I loved performing, but I didn't like performing in front of people.
Right.
And I quickly realized that I think it's because I cared so much about storytelling. I cared so much about storytelling. There was something about it that I could escape. It was escapism for me as a youngster. Not that I had a bad upbringing, I had a great life, but I really loved to escape and imagine and use imaginary worlds in my head. But because I cared so much about that, I didn't want to do it in front of people. So when I went to college and realized, I'm going to have to do it in front of people, I just had to keep being brave and taking leaps of faith and taking every performance opportunity I could. And every time I did it, it just became a little bit easier. So it really is. You can't just sit in the studio and rehearse or go to class and just think, one day I'm going to be on stage. You have to start taking every performance opportunity you can.
Amazing. I mean, I think there's a beauty in that simplicity, isn't it? You know, just lastly, why should people buy a ticket to In Dreams?
Buy a ticket to In Dreams because I'm in it.
And you're cool.
I'm cool. And our team are working so hard at mining all the little funny moments that will make you feel warm and funny inside, also make you laugh, and at the end really make you feel something. And if theatre isn't about making an audience feel something, then I don't know what it is.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here at West End Best Friend and chatting to me for all of our viewers. It's been absolutely amazing and incredible, and we just want to say thank you so much, and also a massive good luck. I mean, I'm sold. I'm going to come and see it, and I'll definitely be whooping and hollering from the back. But
yeah, good. and probably sniffing and crying at the end, but that's fine.
Yes, I mean, what's better than a group therapy, right?
Exactly.
So, thank you so much for chatting with us. It's been brilliant.
Pleasure. Thanks very much, mate.